Good morning, everybody. I think people will be coming in and out and all of that, but I so appreciate you being here. Good morning and welcome to Fort Worth Museum of Science and History. I'm Van Romans, president of the museum, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to have you all here today. It is an extraordinary time for the museum here in Fort Worth, and we are very proud to host this forum. The forum doesn't just happen. There are people on staff who make it happen, and there are underwriters and all that, which I'll get into a little bit later. I would like you to thank, if you would, Kit Goolsby, Executive Vice President for Interpretation back there in the corner. She has put this entire thing together along with Michelle. They're both standing in the corner back there. They're extraordinary staff members, and we have a fabulous staff here at the museum. But before we thank our sponsors and start introducing our distinguished presenters, I'd like for us to take a moment, if you would, to think about some of the critical issues we're attempting to bring attention to today, the challenges we face today to explore learning in the 21st century. I hope with the help of our speakers, each of us will leave with a bit more understanding of what lies ahead, the advantages, as well as the challenges that this new world of digital learning will bring, and the impact it'll have on our children. And most importantly, how we together, especially museums, can best approach these challenges in the future. So first, I'd like you to meet Ima Love Kirkendall. Yes, with the big black hat. She was supervisor of kindergarten and primary education for the Fort Worth Independent School District in 1941. She was also the first president of the Fort Worth Council of Administrative Women in Education in 1941. Now you should know her because she was a key member of the group of teachers who thought out of the box at the time, put yourself back in the late 30s, 1941, and who created what was born in one classroom and then a house as the Fort Worth Children's Museum, which was patterned after the Brooklyn Children's Museum in New York, which actually opened in 1890, the first children's museum in the country. She and her colleagues and teachers knew that not all education happened out of a book, but through experiences and hands-on learning, there was a full person that emerged. At the time, Ima and her fellow colleagues, the other ladies who joined her in this, were, I believe, at the forefront of education. If you can imagine, 1939, 1941, in that period, that someone's talking about hands-on learning, they're talking about experiential learning, all of that, when things were a lot more formal, I think. Ima would be stunned today, I think, at the beauty of this building, which stands today as a realization of the vision of those teachers. I think those teachers would also be amazed at the technology they would encounter in the modern world. But Ima would also find some things that are very familiar to her here, namely a spirit of innovation, enduring dedication to sharing the wonders of science and history. I believe and I know that those inspired founders were pioneers in interactive, informal education. Now, the other person I'd like you to meet is Annette. Yes, she's my granddaughter. Annette is my granddaughter, and she should be coming up here soon. Yeah. Now Annette conveniently shows me and demonstrates on a daily basis what the future is all about. It's one thing to talk about the future, it's quite another to see it. For me, Annette is the future. Because I'm committed to her, I'm committed to the future without dismissing our valuable past. If you don't have an Annette in your life, you should visit the museum every so often because you will find dozens of them. They are our target audience, everybody, all the Annettes in the world. With IMA, we honor our heritage. With Annette, we look to the future. And later today, we'll introduce you to Shri Bose, who represents a very bright present for us. Just take a moment, consider all of this. What would Ima and her friends say about the smartphones of today? What tech tools will Annette and her generation be using when they grow up? So that's why we're here. We're asking and we're staking a claim, really, to the digital future here in Fort Worth and for all of North Texas and hopefully the country. We're here to share ideas, discuss concepts, and to learn. And we're thrilled to have you join us in this journey. I want to thank you again for coming. Hope you have a rewarding and interesting experience here at the museum. And now I'd like to introduce our board chair, Alston Roberts. Alston, where are you, Alston? Yep.
I want to welcome you. I will tell you about Annette. She is the most photographed child I've ever seen in the world. If you follow her on Facebook, she's there multiple times every day. Beautiful child. Well, I want to welcome you, and I want to welcome you to our house. This is a house of education. You should feel very comfortable here. You know, this was founded by teachers. This museum was founded by teachers. And, you know, from that is our mission, is education. So, you know, in that vein, I want you to feel comfortable while you're here, because you're in just a regular learning experience. You don't have to wear your coats. Don't feel that you do. You can take them off if you want, get comfortable. I'm not going to ask you to put away your digital equipment that you're carrying with you, because, you know, here it's okay. And I'm going to tell you one of my stories. I took my son to college this year. It was, you know, and so it was, you know, we took him there, and, you know, we had his syllabus, and my wife said, you know, like all moms, I guess, maybe not all moms, it's definitely my wife. She said, he probably won't know how to go get his own books. We better make sure he gets his books beforehand. Go with him and do this. So I went into the building, and it was a much smaller room than I remembered when I was a kid, and I was going to get books. And we went up and down the aisles looking for the books for his classes. When we got done, I looked at him and I said, well, we must have done this wrong, because I only had 4 books in my hand. So we went back and up and down the aisles and made sure I was right. He only had 4 books for this semester because the rest was all going to be done off an iPad. And an iPad was a requirement to come to the school. And so things are changing. I just had missed that step from when you had to carry this much across to now it's like this much. So I want to tell you, I hope you take something away from here. That's the objective. I hope maybe you meet somebody here. You get a name of somebody you can follow back up with. Maybe there's an idea that you heard here that you could take back with you. Education is out of the classroom now, and institutions, and I work for a corporate institution, a big part of what we do in our budget is about re-educating our employees every year. And how are we going to do it when they all don't sit in the same spot? So I hope you're able to learn something from here. And I'll tell you the last thing, I'll tell you the same thing I tell all employees that come to work, and it's my first time to meet them. The coffee's right outside the door here. If you need to go to the bathroom, you go out here to the right down to the cafeteria. And if there's anything you need, you come to me. I'm here. I work for you. So this day I want to make sure you're taken care of. So please feel free to ask me, and I'll see if I can get it done for you. Thank you for being here.
The idea of welcoming certain people here today is an opportunity for us. And I'd like to introduce Dr. Steve Palko. If Steve come up, Steve is one of our trustees in the museum. He is a friend and a counsel to me all the time. He is a former executive at XTO, but more than anything, he's a PhD over at TCU. He teaches education at the College of Education at TCU, and he's a real champion for teachers. So, Steve?
Thank you very much, Van. I'd like to give a hearty welcome to all the educators in the audience and thank them for coming here and becoming a part of this. I'm involved in education. As Van mentioned, I teach at TCU, but I'm also an adjunct professor at UT Arlington. Since my boss's boss's boss is here, I'd like to point that out and on the program. But when in the field of education right now, it's fairly common for educational institutions, including the ones I'm involved in, to say that we are meeting the challenges of a 21st century education, and that we're incorporating technologies and making education as up-to-date as possible. I've said that myself in my capacity, and universities particularly are moving strongly in that direction. So what does that mean? That means we're incorporating tablets, taking advantage of social media, maybe constructing MOOCs, which are massive online courses, that type of thing. But the first thing I'd like to point out is those are incorporating today's existing technologies that are fairly well established. And the requirement to define how technology is going to impact the future and how technology is going to change the nature of both education and human interaction with those technologies is to be defined. It is a challenge going forward, and it is contingent upon what specifically is emergent in terms of technology. If you pick up a book today that says Educating Students for the 21st Century, I find them rather disappointing because it'll say something like this. Students should be able to take in massive amounts of information, separate the wheat from the chaff, find what's relevant, process it effectively, and then communicate that efficiently. 2,000 years ago, the Roman Empire had outposts all over, hundreds of them. And so Julius Caesar got an enormous amount of information and had to separate the wheat from the chaff, had to put together something important that carried out his goals and objectives and communicate that effectively to the hundreds of different substations around the world. And so generally what's being articulated are really skills and knowledge that are characteristic of effective human beings that successfully operate in an environment, as opposed to necessarily technology. What's occurring, if you look at the technical world, in the world of neuroscience, we are close to understanding the answer to the epistemological question of what is knowledge and how do humans go about acquiring them. We understand what emotion is, the role emotion plays in human functioning, as well as how the brain implements emotion. It is entirely likely that your granddaughter will be talking to a robot fully capable in terms of its intellectual capabilities and also programmed with emotion. And perhaps the robot will ask the question, what is it about being constituted of protein as opposed to graphene and silicon that allows you to be in charge? But my point being is that it's all in the future. We have just only begun to scratch the surface of the promise of technology, as well as the impact and the adaptability that we're going to have as a species in order to contend effectively with technologies that are emergent in the future. And historically, educators have been in a reactive role, meaning that commercially developed technology is there. It appears to have some form of impact on education and learning, and our job is to try and incorporate it and stay up. This kind of initiative, this kind of effort, really allows us to be proactive and to answer really two questions. Is emergent technology, how can it address a problem that we know to exist in effective learning? How can it seize an opportunity to expand human intellectual capability, problem-solving skills, and craft a better future for all of mankind? And it allows educators to be on the forefront. So that's my promotional speech, to really want you involved in this, really want you to help define what this is, what this can be, because it really is a very glorious opportunity, an opportunity to not only react to the future, but to build the future and to define how technology actually is going to form the basis of future learning. So again, thank you so much for being here, and I hope you thoroughly enjoyed today. Thank you.